Xbox has a serious problem. Their website has crashed from gamers rage quitting their subscriptions after Microsoft hiked the price of the Game Pass Ultimate tier 50% to $30 a month. Within hours of the announcement, cancel Xbox became the #1 search term worldwide, and Reddit exploded with angry posts. Even GameStop started trolling Microsoft on social media. So it seems after 2 decades of loyalty, Xbox fans are finally walking away from the platform for good. Now look, on the surface, 10 extra bucks a month doesn't seem like the end of the world. But here's the thing, this price hike isn't why Xbox is dying. It's just the moment when gamers have finally said enough. Because if you've been paying attention, Xbox has actually been bleeding out for years. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how Xbox went from the platform that defined online gaming to a company that can't even keep their own website running because too many people are trying to leave at once. So today I'm going to cover the disappointing games that pushed fans away, the baffling decisions that destroyed trust, and the identity crisis that left everyone, including Microsoft, confused. And by the end, you'll see why Xbox's collapse might actually be the wake-up call gamers have been waiting for. So now let's dive into how it happened. Xbox's downfall actually started way back in December of 2021 with the release of Halo Infinite. At the time, Halo had been struggling for years. Halo 5 divided fans and the Master Chief Collection launch was broken. So Xbox really needed a win, and they promised Infinite would be it. The game had been in development for 6 years and even delayed a full year just to get it right. But the wait was apparently going to be worth it, and this was supposed to be the comeback for Xbox's flagship franchise. But when the game launched, the campaign was decent, but multiplayer was broken. There was no co-op campaign, no Forge mode, and content updates seemed to take forever. Within only a few months, the player count dropped over 90%. Halo used to be the reason you bought an Xbox, but now it was just another game on there. Then came Redfall in May of 2023, an Xbox exclusive from Arcane, the studio that made Prey and Dishonored. It launched as one of the worst reviewed games of the year, a 56 on Metacritic. It was unfinished, buggy, and just boring. Microsoft eventually had to apologize.
There's nothing that's more difficult for me than disappointing the Xbox community, and just to kind of watch the community lose confidence, be disappointed. I'm disappointed. I'm upset with myself. I kind of revisit our process. I think back to the announcement of 60 frames per second, and then we weren't shipping 60 frames per second. That was kind of our punch in the chin, rightfully, a couple weeks ago. The critical response was not what we wanted.
Then only a few months later, they released Starfield in September. This was Bethesda's first new IP in 25 years. Todd Howard hyped it as Skyrim in space. Instead, you got a loading screen simulator with lifeless plants and bland storytelling. Now, sure, some people liked it, but for the game that was supposed to justify Microsoft spending $7.5 billion on Bethesda, it was just a massive disappointment. Meanwhile, PlayStation dropped God of War Ragnarok, Spider-Man 2, and even Helldivers 2. The quality gap between Xbox and PlayStation became pretty obvious. So as an Xbox fan watching this, you had to ask yourself, is it even worth staying? Now at this point, Xbox is already struggling with disappointing games, and then they did something that made absolutely no sense. They started shutting down the studios that were actually succeeding. On May 7, 2024, Microsoft announced they were closing 4 studios: Arcane Austin, the team behind Prey, Alpha Dog Games, Roundhouse Studios, and Tango Gameworks, the creators of Hi-Fi Rush, which also happened to be an instant hit and nominated for multiple Game Awards. Xbox ironically had spent all of 2023 celebrating it as proof that they could still make creative award-winning games. Then they closed the studio that made it. Now since then, it's gone from bad to worse, and just a few months ago, Microsoft laid off over 9,000 more employees. At this point, it's not just disappointment, it's betrayal. Okay, so Xbox has disappointing games and they're closing the studios that actually make good ones. But you still had a reason to own an Xbox because it had exclusives like Halo, Gears of War, and Starfield that you couldn't play anywhere else. Wrong. In February 2024, Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox, announced that 4 games were going to PlayStation and Nintendo: Hi-Fi Rush, Pentiment, Grounded, and Sea of Thieves. But he made a promise. He specifically said this was not a fundamental change to their exclusivity strategy, and games like Starfield and Indiana Jones would stay Xbox only. That promise didn't even last 6 months. Soon, Gears of War was on PlayStation for the first time ever. Doom: The Dark Ages launched day one on PS5 and PC, and Hellblade 2 went multi-platform. Within less than a year, Phil Spencer finally gave up pretending and told reporters that any Xbox game could go anywhere. So when you can play any Xbox game on a PlayStation and get all the exclusives that come with PS5, why would you ever buy an Xbox? You wouldn't. The one thing Xbox fans could hold on to, that at least these games were theirs, that was gone. So gamers stopped sticking around, and in 2024, that was actually Xbox's worst year in history. They sold fewer consoles than they had in over a decade. But here's what makes this so much worse. All of these failures, the disappointing games, the studio closures, sending exclusives to PlayStation, they're not random mistakes. They're symptoms of something deeper. Xbox has no idea what it's supposed to be anymore. Last year in November, they even released a hilarious marketing campaign that literally told people that Samsung TVs, phones, and laptops were all just like Xbox now. The message they apparently wanted to send was, you don't need the console. But if that's true, why does the console exist? Microsoft can't even answer that. Bloomberg reporter Jason Schreier said it best. Xbox is such a mess right now. Their plan is changing every year. They change their minds every month. They're just a disaster over there. There's no plan whatsoever. It's really sad. So when your own leadership doesn't know what the platform is supposed to be, how can fans be expected to stay loyal? That's why recently, when the Game Pass increased its price to $30 a month, that wasn't the cause of Xbox's collapse. It was just a moment when fans who'd been holding on through years of disappointment finally let go. And honestly, maybe that's not such a bad thing, because here's what nobody's talking about. While we've been watching Xbox fall apart, there's a bigger shift happening. Gamers are waking up to something. Think about it. You've been loyal to Xbox for years, maybe even decades. You defended them through all the bad releases. You stuck around when they closed your favorite studios. You paid for Game Pass every month with your hard-earned money. And what did you get? Disappointment, broken promises, and a platform that doesn't even know what it wants to be. And maybe that's making you realize something deeper. If Xbox couldn't keep your loyalty after all that time and money, what else in gaming is just empty? What about all those hours grinding for loot that doesn't matter? What about all that money on subscriptions and microtransactions? What about all that time that could have gone into building something real? Xbox's downfall might actually be your opportunity, your chance to step away from the screen and build a life you're actually proud of. So if you want to know how to do that and why so many gamers are walking away from gaming for good, watch this video on your screen next, and I'll see you there.